Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of Ringside Breakdown. I am JR Castillo,
And I am William Dash.
and we have a special guest for a special show today. We have a good friend, brother from another mother, Jonathan Baldwin. John, say hi.
What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing today?
Well, we're doing
We're
fantastic,
doing
John.
good. For today's episode, everybody, we're going to do a little something a little bit different. We're going to do our biggest what ifs in wrestling. Everybody's going to take a topic. We're going to say how things could have been different if something different would have went at this point in time. And to start it off, I'm going to start off with what if the WWE would have pulled the trigger on LA Knight 3 years ago when he was probably the hottest person in the business? We had that moment where Cody Rhodes on the finishing the story where everybody loved Cody Rhodes. That was the guy. But at that exact same time, LA Knight was taking off to a brand new level. That was a moment like you had to go with Cody. Cody had to get that, but there was another championship you could have easily gone with and gave LA Knight a world title run that would have cemented him as a superstar. And then they had another chance the next year. And then there was another chance. And now we're at this point with LA Knight to where if it does happen, it's not going to be as impactful because the rug has been pulled out so many times, and it looks like we're circling back to this LA Knight. Like, okay, it's him and Roman again. We're running back to this, and nobody likes hot potatoing a title. But if there's ever a time to hot potato a title, you could give LA Knight a couple months here as a champion because it looks like Roman is taking. Looks like the Bloodline's going to be part of War Games. They've already posted a poster with Roman on the War Games poster. So that could be part of it. And LA Knight's the one feuding with him. So LA Knight's team versus the Bloodline. And then you could switch it back to Roman for Mania to lead into whatever you want Roman to do at Mania. But if the WWE would have pulled the trigger on LA Knight, they could have had a brand new superstar that is on another level. Because he hasn't dropped off. The crowd still pops for him every time that music hits. The only reason nobody sings his theme song because it's too hard to, you can't hum that. You could Seth Rollins' theme song is so easy to hum that theme song. You could do that with, not even thinking about it. I do it myself watching Raw. I catch myself all the time just going along with Seth's theme song, not even trying. You can't do LA Nights because it's just too complicated. You can't hum that. If you could, absolutely crowd would be in it. But I just think the magic is lost. You're at a point now to where if it happens, people are going to love it. But that magic, it's not going to be the same magic. So what do you guys think about this?
Um,
Um,
oh, you go ahead, John.
uh, Honestly, I think that I think that you're right. LA Knight has ever since he broke away from the maximum male models and with the whole Maxine Dupree thing and went back to LA Knight, he's just been on the uptick. And it's the crowd. They always say we listen to the crowd. We listen to the crowd. Well, obviously you haven't listened with LA Knight because you have not tapped into that. I mean, it, yeah, you know what I mean? There's just that. Yes, he's on the higher end of, he's in his 40s and stuff like that. But I mean, you gave Sami Zayn a 7-day reign, as a transitional champion for the Saudi thing. Why can't you give LA Knight, like you said, JR, like a 1 or 2 month reign just to give him his flowers, if you will, that nod to the work that he's put in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, John. Like JR said, 3 years ago, LA Knight was the biggest he's ever been. Like if he was ever crowned a megastar 3 years ago would have been the time he got that mantra.
Uh-huh.
But everyone was just focused on Cody Rhodes and finishing his story, which is a good story to finish. It's just we've heard and seen so much of the Cody Rhodes thing here of late. I feel like with LA Knight, it's his time to actually get his chance, even if it's a transitional champion or if he carries it until Mania. He needs to get his shot. I feel like he needs his shot.
I mean, they gave Jey Uso the shot, I mean, and we saw how well that worked out.
Yeah.
you know. But
Yeah, WWE says that, if you're over with the crowd, you'll go behind you, but it seems that that means we'll go behind you if we really want to. Look how
yeah,
over Chelsea Green has been, and look what it took for Chelsea Green to get a title run.
Yeah.
I mean, it,
7
it took
broken noses.
it took Rhea Ripley to rip her knee apart in order for Chelsea Green to get a title run, and then immediately they almost took it off of her because she got hurt. Meanwhile, Liv Morgan hadn't defended a title in 100 days, but we don't even talk about that. It
yeah,
WWE has a very weird way of like, hey, if the crowd loves you, we love you until maybe we don't love you. So
Either
I
that
just
or until you get injured.
yeah, they always talk about we got to create new stars, got to create new stars. You had one.
yeah,
You had it made. You had it made. Yeah, he's older, but that's your fault for not doing the guys in NXT right. I mean, the women in NXT are riding circles around the guys. It's not a secret anymore.
yeah,
NXT is they're not what they were in the black and gold era, and that's a whole nother what if. But if you develop your NXT characters better, then you're not having this problem. Instead, you need to create stars, and yeah, LA Knight's 40 up in the upper 40s, but that's a new prime age in wrestling. AJ Styles was still great going on almost 50.
oh yeah, heck yeah, he was.
John Cena could still go, and he decided to retire because he's just not going to be there enough.
Yeah.
Is LA
And
Knight
Well,
had it?
and to be fair, John Cena's um, uh, quality of his in ring stuff was on the
Yeah,
downturn.
yeah.
Let's just be honest. You
John was
know,
starting to lose it, but he could still go occasionally. I mean,
and
he could have milked this for like 2 years on
yeah,
this retirement tour. He could have milked it for 2 years and still had a great match every once in a while. And
yeah.
shame on
yeah,
everybody involved by not working out a deal to get John Cena and Edge, but that's another what if.
I agree. I agree.
That's a
yeah.
whole new. That's
And
a
With
I saw something recently with Edge where he said that he knows that Tony Khan would have
yeah,
100% greenlit him going back and doing something with John Cena for his
yeah.
retirement tour. But we all know WWE ain't gonna let that
Yeah,
happen.
that is a whole nother what if segment that I think we could spend an entire show on why these
Yeah,
companies should be working together and not against each other.
agreed.
There,
Agreed.
there's so many great matches we could have and just entertain. The fans deserve to be entertained, but that's a whole
Yeah.
nother segment. So
Yep.
who wants to go next?
I will let John go next since he's our guest on this show.
Okay. Um, it's funny when JR told me about this, I we were messaging back and forth and I rattled off all these like what if ideas, but one really just kind of popped in my head and I couldn't get it out. What if Hall and Nash never left WWE for WCW? The the domino effect of them leaving, because once they left, you had the curtain call. And with the curtain call, you had two of them leaving, and you had Shawn Michaels, who was the champion at the time, and then you had Triple H. Triple H's punishment, he loses his push for King of the Ring. We get Stone Cold Steve Austin and Austin 316. With that also, we get the outsiders in WCW, and then we get Hogan as the third man. Boom, we have the NWO. And also the catalyst for DX. So you have all these pivotal moments that stem from Nash and Hall leaving and the curtain call.
And
So
that is a good one.
Yeah. They
Uh,
yeah,
I feel like that even if they wouldn't have left, I feel like the WWE could have gotten the NWO instead of WCW, cause and then that would have brought in the Monday Night Wars. Everybody was wanting to see the DX versus the NWO. Like
yeah,
they had a moment at a WrestleMania where Sting versus Triple H, and they had all the DX and NWO guys, and it could have been better, but with them being as old as they were at the time, it just wasn't great. So with them not leaving, I feel like we could have gotten battles between the two. It would have been more just as iconic as Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys versus the Dudley Boys.
Right.
I feel like it could have been gotten that big if they would have never left and started NWO in the WWE.
Right. Well, I mean, because for me, we also, we wouldn't have gotten the Attitude Era either, because with Austin and DX, that was pretty much the answer to WCW and the NWO. That was actually, it was the direct response to the NWO. So that's what I mean. Like, in my opinion, like Hall and Nash, Diesel and Razor Ramon, I don't know if those characters, as Diesel and Razor Ramon, would have translated well in in the transition of the business the way it was going. So I don't know. And we probably would have still gotten Stone Cold, but not that Stone Cold. That Not that iconic promo. Because your Psalms and your John 3:16 and then Austin 3:16, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
um, what do you think, JR?
If Hall and Nash don't go to WCW, I don't know. I don't think the wrestling business is what it is today. I really don't. I think it was a catalyst to so many different things happening, because them going to WCW over $1, basically. Hall and Nash both told Vince, just give me one more dollar. And Vince says, if I do it for you, I have to do it for everybody else. And he just stood his ground on that. So they didn't want to leave. And it took somebody that is a little bit crazy, like Eric Bischoff, to be like, hold on, let's turn this into the biggest thing that we could turn in. Controversy creates cash.
Yeah.
Starting them debuting in WCW the way they did blurred so many lines. It was there wasn't the dirt sheets back then. Nobody knew Scott Hall Razor Ramon was gonna come out through the crowd in the middle of a random match on Nitro.
Yeah.
And then everything that happened, Hogan joining the NWO, WCW took a whole nother route to go things. And at the point, WWE, everybody just had a job, right? It's like you had dentists, and there was that random ass hockey guy, and there was a dumpster worker. Everybody just
Duke
had
the
jobs.
Dumpster Drosy, yeah.
Everybody just had jobs in WWE. They had to transition themselves to a different era. So much change, guaranteed money and contracts changed because of Hall and Nash.
Hmm.
It was so much change. If they stayed in WWE, Razor Ramon and Diesel just not moving anything. They were what they were. Great workers, but they weren't ever going to be top guys. DX doesn't,
Not in the long term, no.
unless Sean really pushes to get a group together with his boys, they're not doing nothing together. I mean, they're not going to create DX. DX isn't going to be what it was. Even if they do, like, sort of Sean gets his boys in a group, it wasn't going to be what it was because they don't have to chase anything.
Exactly. They're not getting their behinds handed to them for 83 weeks straight in the ratings,
Stone Cold probably still becomes big star because talent rises. And at the time, he was putting on decent matches. But Triple H wins that King of the Ring, so we're not getting Stone Cold and Jake Roberts. So we're not getting the Austin 3:16 promo, at least right then. And the fact that he cut that promo off the top of his head because he just got back from the hospital.
Yep.
And it was Michael Hayes was the one that told him, like, hey, he just said he just cut a promo on you about John 3:16 and all that.
Yeah.
So he came out there basically with a busted lip with stitches in it and just made up a promo based on what he was told. It wasn't written. It was straight off the top of his head, and that excelled him. So much happened because Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. I don't know what wrestling would be right now. We're definitely not getting the prime Monday Night Wars that we got. That's not happening because at the time WCW was retirement home. That was the old guys went there, and WCW used their name value for what they had. But Hall and Nash, they revived the career of Hogan. Hogan didn't want to be the third guy. They were going to do Sting.
Yeah, there was going to be Sting.
And then at the last second, Hogan saw that money train being like, I think I can still catch that. And he hopped on it. So it was like so much changed. It's so much changed because of that one decision. I don't know what we're watching on television right now if that doesn't happen. I don't think the wrestling business is as good as it is today, even
Yeah,
with
it's
its
not.
faults that it has, because nobody apparently knows how to book anything. Even with their own faults, it's not what it is, and I don't think it ever becomes what it became. Like that late '90s run in pro wrestling. If they were to have that again today, all these wrestling commentators would be just having gold boats because of how much money they'd be pulling in.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a damn good one. That's a damn
Yeah.
because that changes the entire course of wrestling history.
Agreed.
Yeah. Keeping it with like an old school vibe, my what if is kind of older, not as old as John's was, but um Brock Lesnar leaving the WWE to go to UFC. What if he never would have done that? What if he would have stayed in WWE? Do you think we would have had a mega superstar like John Cena? Because, like you said, that goes back to the Stone Cold Steve Austin thing. Like, yeah, we wouldn't have had him then, but we would have eventually got him. Do you think with the Brock Lesnar staying in WWE back then would have put John Cena's project, like his way to the top on hold for a little bit, or do you think he still would have risen as big as he did in a short period of time?
I think, in my opinion, if Brock Lesnar would have stayed, fans were over Brock. They were starting to get to that point where they were because they were over both him and Goldberg. You
Yeah,
know, but, I mean, you could actually tell that Goldberg just didn't give a shit anymore. He was done. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to curse, but
it's fine. It happens.
Yeah,
um, but Brock Lesnar staying, I don't think he becomes the attraction he is now. I don't think he brings the mainstream eyes to the product that he does now. Um, there's just there's money isn't the same for Brock if he doesn't leave.
Yeah,
And the impact of his return with John Cena, where he F5s him, and I think it was 2012 when he came back.
yeah,
You know what I mean? That was just, I mean, when jaw dropped. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
just like, holy s, what the heck is going on?
yeah,
And that's just me. That's my opinion. If Brock doesn't go, Brock doesn't have the Brock doesn't have the effect he does now. John Cena, because of who John Cena is and the work ethic that he put in, I think he still would have gotten there, but he would have had some serious competition. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah, I think same. I think John Cena is like Thanos. He's inevitable. It was gonna happen. It
Hmm.
was going to the second he showed up on SmackDown with the ruthless aggression, and then put on a really good match with Kurt Angle, just like on his debut. I mean, but also if you can't have a good match with Kurt Angle, then there's something wrong
yeah,
Oh yeah,
with. So
yeah.
yeah,
He
so
could have
John,
a, he could have a match with a broom and make the broom look good.
yeah. So John, I mean, John Cena was inevitable. I mean, yeah, he got some help along the way. Stephanie McMahon getting him to do raps, coming to the ring was a brilliant decision. Shows how smart she is because she saw something like, hey, we don't have this,
that
but
would be
And
a
we,
she
damn
doesn't
good
she
decision.
doesn't get the she doesn't
yeah,
get the recognition she deserves for a lot of stuff that she did.
yeah. It's like because we have 1,000, strong guys in tights. We don't have somebody a white guy that's going out here rapping and just, that's putting a different spin on things. So
All while wearing jorts.
yeah, all I wearing is jorts and those damn jorts. Go to that retirement match. The crowd was chanting "Leave the jorts." I'd have lost myself had he left the jorts. There'd have been a me-size hole in the wall. It's like,
Well,
dude, please don't. I was just sitting here. Please don't take off the jorts. Please don't take off the jorts.
well, I mean, he already did the award show naked, so
Yeah, but then you don't see it again. We already got forced on it once. But yeah, but with Brock, big guys have a finite life. at this for how long they could be at the top before people just get tired of it. Look at Roman. Roman was he was at the top for so long, and it took COVID and cancer to make him go away. And then when he came back, and they were like, "Hey, let's just put him with Paul Heyman." And it turns out, hey, if you just let a badass looking Samoan be a badass looking Samoan, guess what? Magic happens. But big guys have such a finite way of how people look at them. And Brock was already trailing on that, like on that back end. People were not that in threat. He wasn't the next big thing anymore. Everybody tired of it. We had seen face Brock, we'd seen heel Brock, we'd seen crazy Brock. They fit a lot of Brock into a short amount of time that he was there. If you really look,
like maybe 3 or 4
yeah, if
years.
you really
Maybe.
look at how long he was on the roster, they put such a lot of into him that he's not still he wouldn't still be around today. Like his body would have gave out a long time ago. I mean, the fact that he came back and did the UFC with after diverticulitis, and he came back to WWE, the part-time schedules it worked for him, and then he became an attraction. So it worked out both ways because young Brock, you had the John Cena Brock Lesnar rivalries were great. The last one we could have did without, whatever, but it helped. It gave John Cena somebody new, but also it gave Brock an extended career, so it helped on both ends of this. Both people came out better because Brock did leave. Had he left, Cena's gonna be still great, but he doesn't have the big conquer that he has to take care of. And then Brock would have probably fizzled out a lot sooner. Like maybe he lasts another 5, 10 years, but he's not going to be the superstar that he was for the entire 5 to 10 years.
And there's another thing that, is very well known about him. He does not like to travel. He
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
like people. He doesn't like crowds. So,
yeah,
and that was one of the reasons why he was kind of getting disenchanted with the WWE and the travel schedule. And that was, had they maybe given him a lighter schedule, he probably wouldn't have wanted to go.
yeah,
But I mean, that grind back then, I mean, they were on the road 330 days out of the year. You know what I mean? They were almost as many shows. You know what I mean? So I don't
I
know.
mean,
That's an interesting one to think about because yeah, we don't. If Brock stays, how long does it take for John Cena to get to that break through that glass ceiling? Randy Orton too.
yeah.
Because all three of them came up in the same class in OVW.
Oh, that
You
was
know what I
such a
mean?
that was such a phenomenal
Batista.
OVW class. Batista, Shelton Benjamin, Brock Lesnar, John Cena, that OVW class was just like everything that you could ever want.
Oh yeah, the talent coming out of that was wow. For not to encroach on AJ Styles, but the talent was phenomenal. You
Yeah,
know what I
it's
mean?
just
Coming out of that class.
Oh yeah, and random crazy fact about that OVW is where I lived at in Indiana was actually 45 minutes away from that building across the river in Kentucky.
Wow.
Yeah, because my stepdad said that he would go down there and watch Jerry the King Lawler wrestle when he was younger and stuff. Back when
Yeah.
the King was doing all them like the indies basically. Or like
Yeah.
the local promotions, I should say.
he's trying to do a Ric Flair thing right now, or he wants his last match. It's like, dude,
Oof.
would you
Who,
stop?
Lawler?
Yeah, it's like, man, these old
Bro.
guys are just absolutely trying to die in the ring. I 100% believe it at this point.
I
They
honestly
are
Yeah,
just
it's
thought
they
like
like
Flair was going to.
they just we want to die in the ring. This is where we want to do. Ric Flair, had to be fair, did die in the ring, and he had a heart attack in the middle of that match and passed out. I mean, it's just some of these old guys just want to die in the ring.
well, I mean that's another situation where we
Yeah,
can make a whole episode on these older guys just not wanting to give it up.
yeah.
It's like Ric Flair, Paul Orndorff. You know what I mean? He came back to wrestling after the injury to his arm. I mean, it was very clearly atrophy in that right arm of his. and he was still trying to put in work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Roddy Piper, all these other guys that still got physical in the ring well past their prime.
Terry
Even
Funk.
Hogan. Yeah, Terry Funk. That's a prime example. Terry Funk should not. That
Sabu.
man put.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, another one. It was Hogan. In TNA when he was barely. I mean, his punches looked like my son could hit harder than him. You know what I mean? In that TNA run, but these guys, the three of us will never know what it's like to stand in front of 100,000 fans screaming your name and know what that's like to give up because you just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I think unfortunately for a lot of them, they came up in the wrong time period. There just wasn't the money. The money was there now to come back and do these things and still be. They probably made the most money in their lives when they were in their 50s and 60s by doing these special appearances in WWE and stuff like that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
unfortunately, a lot of them had to. But like at this point, like Ric Flair, like I'm sorry if you don't have money left, Rick. I don't tell you at this point.
Yeah,
Like-
if Ric Flair doesn't have money left, that's a Ric Flair problem.
that's a Ric Flair problem. I mean, it's you
There's no
caused
reason
this.
to go kill yourself over money, my guy.
Yeah, it's like, dude, it's like at this point, like I don't know what to tell you, man. I was like, ask Charlotte for some money. I don't know what to tell you at this point. I don't.
But isn't that supposed to be the thing? Like parents retire and their kids take care of them when they get the money? Like, come on now. You don't make your
Yeah.
old ass dad just kill himself for money. Give him some money.
The Paul Orndorff
Yeah.
Dark Side of the Ring was amazing, by the way.
That's kind of I haven't seen the whole episode. I've kind of seen snippets of it. That whole series is it's a glimpse into a part of the business nobody really wants to talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost spooky like. To me,
A lot
I
of
feel
it
like
is
yeah.
just
it's not
so.
necessarily scary, but like when you actually watch those episodes and learn about what they actually went through, it kind of puts you in perspective, like what they actually go through on a day-to-day basis being a professional wrestler. It's
Yeah.
somewhat spooky in my eyes because it's like, holy crap, you know?
The Dark Side of the Ring series is actually what got me this idea, but in a lighter tone.
No.
That's why I wanted to do things that the companies could control, because there's so many what ifs that couldn't be controlled. Like what if Owen Hart doesn't die? What if Eddie Guerrero doesn't die?
Yeah, see, and those kind of floated through my head with this was like,
Yeah.
what if these tragedies didn't happen? What if Chris Benoit didn't become a monster?
That's
That stuff like that.
How much of what Chris Benoit became was because of Eddie? I mean, there's a whole set of what ifs we could go through that just based on philosophical things of things that you can't control. But what if they don't happen? But
I almost went with what if Hogan never slammed Andre? What if Andre did not put Hogan over? You know what I mean?
That's another great one right there. It's just
Because and Hogan didn't know until the match.
Yeah.
He did not know if Andre was going to let him win.
Andre at any point, Andre could be like, no, and there's not a damn thing anybody could have did about it.
What are you going to do to Andre
Yeah.
the Giant? Look up at him from 3 foot lower than him and say you're going to put Hogan over? I mean,
Yeah, if it's not for Andre, Hogan doesn't become what Hogan becomes. Maybe it does eventually, but Andre put a rocket on that man, and then
so I agree to a certain extent. Hogan pinning the Iron Sheik is what set Hogan in motion.
yeah,
That's what set him in motion. But
Yeah.
the rocket was Andre.
yeah. Once you get that rocket from Andre, I mean, because that was 100% Andre. I mean, it's just like there was all the talk about when Brock Lesnar broke the streak. Like, well, what if that wasn't supposed to happen? Well, I mean, if Brock Lesnar wants it to happen, it's probably going to happen. Like even
That was the last minute decision too.
yeah, that was because the owner at the time was an insane man. That's a whole
Was? No.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just used one was because it's past tense now. But that's a whole what if segment itself on about the insane
Oh,
owner.
Jesus Christ.
like, what if that crazy
guy.
old man
That
never grew
goes-
that weird mustache?
That goes so
Oh.
many different ways that we could just What if he had left 6 years earlier?
Yeah.
What happens to his reputation, how better the company is, everything. He's going to end up like Hogan, and Vince is way more deserving here
Yeah.
on what
Well,
happens. He's way more he's probably way more deserving to end up as the outsider in a business he helped create. Because we none of us
yeah.
really know exactly the details of that case, and now we never will because they settled it.
Oh,
But
they did? I didn't know they
yeah,
settled it.
they entered a settlement agreement. Uh, so and then she immediately got injured in a freak accident or something. I don't know. It's all the whole thing is weird. What we do know is Vince was a very weird, disgusting individual because who the hell does that on another person and then continues?
Yeah.
I had to use the bathroom on somebody and be like, "Oh, let's continue to have fun." I mean, no, you're weird, and I need you away from me at all points, like 50 feet,
Yeah.
50 feet.
Yeah,
But
it just seemed like some of the stuff he was letting go was kind of like, what are you
he
thinking?
is going to end up as an outsider in a business that he helped create. Just like, and unfortunately, the same thing happened to Hogan. Hogan is the reason that we have wrestling today in the way it is. And
Yeah.
no matter how many flowers Hogan got through his career, he never got enough because of what he meant to pro wrestling. And to die as an outsider to the business he helped create was unfair. What he said was horrible. Can't say things like that. And
Yeah.
nobody's going to sit here and be like, yeah, what he said was great. No, what he said was horrible. Should not have been said. It was disgusting words that he said. But at the end of the day, there's enough people that say that he wasn't like that, and that what he was saying was meant on a personal level between those individuals and a different way of talking, that I don't know if he should have just been ostracized out of the world. He's not a Chris Benoit.
No, not a
He's
Chris
not.
Benoit.
And
I don't think there will ever be another Chris
I've heard
Benoit.
more people talk about Chris Benoit being in the Hall of Fame than people don't like Hogan. It's like people like Chris Benoit should be in the Hall of Fame. And it's like Hogan should be taken out. It's like we're in the wrong category here, guys.
Yeah, no, you can't. Chris Benoit is one of those really fine lines because you can't deny his body of work. There's
Yeah.
no denying the man was a talented in-ring performer. But what he did at the very end of his life is
Will
what will
always,
always be remembered.
yeah.
And it's because I saw Paul Heyman. There was a thing that Paul Heyman was doing. He was going around, and somebody in the crowd was when he mentioned Chris Benoit. He said,
My
"Chris
boy.
Benoit." Yeah, and Paul Heyman gave the best response. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I don't want to say those kind of words here, but
Yeah. Well,
it was colorful language, if you will.
yeah. And what Paul Heyman says, I mean, 3 people died that night, and 2 of them get vastly overlooked. Unfortunately, 2 of them are vastly overlooked. Only one of them had a choice that weekend.
Yep.
And the other 2 are vastly forgotten about, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I mean Daniel, that boy. I mean, why Daniel?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
Why?
loved Chris Benoit. I loved watching Chris Benoit. I can't watch his matches and feel good anymore.
No.
Mm-mm.
And then that's like when I see one, as much as I would love to go back and watch WrestleMania 20, the triple threat with Benoit, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels, because it's an absolute great match. The ending to that match with Eddie and Benoit holding, they're together. They're finally both champions. You have Daniel, you have Nance. That is a memory that is forever tainted because of the actions of that weekend.
Yeah. Every aspect of that man's career is overshadowed. There's he was a great in-ring performer, but the dude murdered his wife and son.
I feel
You know what I mean?
his son David is, trying to get into wrestling, and
There's no way.
I just feel bad for him because he wants to be known as David Benoit, and it's like dude, you look like him. Like it's no you. He doesn't have a career in wrestling. He can't.
Mm-mm.
And
it's not because of
mention it.
It's not because of him or his talent or anything of that nature. It is who his father is that will
Yeah.
forever keep him out of the wrestling business.
Yeah, it's like
And that's no fault of his own.
you can change his name to whatever you want to change it to. We're not nobody's gonna I mean, it's you're not gonna be able to hide that one. So
Mhm.
but
Especially if he looks like him, that's kind of hard to look past. If you see a
yeah, I mean
younger version of
it's
Chris Benoit, you're gonna be like, wait a
like
minute.
it's like they cloned him.
Yeah.
But
That's possible.
I mean that was for the first episode of What If, guys, I think we had some really good topics.
Yeah.
Uh,
JR,
we
before we go, we can't forget what's Danhausen been up to?
Danhausen's quiet. Danhausen had his birthday on Monday Night Raw. I think they're going to slow Danhausen down a little bit because they've been really hard pushing Danhausen. And it's good. Bring him back a little bit now because we've overexposed a little bit. We're not making fun of you, Danhausen. No curses.
No. We're just
But
saying you deserve a break.
but it's like he deserves a break. Let's pull back Danhausen a little bit. I mean, because this cloning machine's got to be too expensive to keep bringing up everywhere. Like I don't know where he keeps getting his cloning stuff. It's like he just
Look,
stops doing.
I get the Danhausen character. I get it. It's over the top. It's campy. It's fun. It's hilarious. But there are moments where I'm just like they can't think this is that funny. You know what I mean? The whole thing with Miz and Kit Wilson getting shocked and being zombies. I mean, the suspension of disbelief is there's a certain level, and it's just like, okay, come on.
Yeah.
Now it's borderline insulting to the intelligence of your viewers with that one. You know, overall, Danhausen's hilarious. I love watching his segments for the most part. But there's certain moments where it's like, really, come on.
Yeah.
Do you really think that would land the way you wanted it to?
Yeah. Well, we're going to continue this on our next episode of What If. But for Ringside Breakdown, I am JR Castillo.
I am William Dash.
John.
It's been a pleasure. I'm Jonathan Baldwin. Hopefully, I'm back for another one.
And we will see you guys next time.
And catch y'all down the road. Thank you.
Later, guys.
Yeah.